Welcome to Steve and Alfred'S show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. I hope you all doing extremely well on this very cold Monday here in Chicago and wherever you may be. I hope it is sunny and you're doing extremely well. Yamobi Akwaba, Aba Steve, and Alfred Ejumediesu. Nyame edi enenso akyɛ a enenso yɛhyia ɛwɔ ahoman so ɛnɛ yɛbɛdi nkɔmmɔ bebree nti frɛ enuanom ɛne adɔfoɔ se Steve ene Alfred agye akonya ebio a nyame ede ene akyɛ a yɛbɛtwitwi nkɔmmɔ bebree. Yɛwɔ hɔ yɛwɔ awurarum ɛyɛ friends awurarum bebree ɛne sɛ yɛwerɛ ho bebree sɛ yɛ mampanyin dada a ebinom frɛ no Papa J, ebi nso frɛ no JJ, anaasɛ ebinom frɛ no Chairman Rollins a yɛmu bebree ɛnim sɛ ne din ɛdi His Excellency Jerry John Rollins. Ɛnɛ yɛwɔ awerɛhom sɛ yɛbɛgya ne kwan this week. Yɛbɛtwitwi nkɔmmɔ kakra afa no ho. Ɛnyɛ ɔno nko a yɛbɛsan twitwi nkɔmmɔ bebree afa nneɛma bebree ho nti no yɛsrɛ mo amofrɛ obiara sɛ Steve ɛne Alfred agye akonya. Yo anyami me te mofia mo yo ten.
Bonyama o babalo, bonyama o babalo. Bonyama o babalo, bonyama o babalo. Anjola magwana fumaiga.
Wahia nyelo Neji JJ Rollins no you ne en ebedon ni week ne ochi ne mi no yo ne afe ni afunle no hu obagba isani fio nye you adon nye sha link nye cha mafia mo aka Steve ke Alfred wabatashi ni mene o agbasani papa o yo na view akpenami ba mi come ya ba mo dada Ako Radio. Nyankonye for Steve. Mi dak baba mi gak pada miangu wo troya ye mia yide wanaoji. Gaka wo troya miapa ji mavu. Ba mia fufuga Papa J magale miadomo. Ye koshire amagamagang bakla dua o agbagbajam na wadi akpa ba mi ko mi aba mo dada afia ka ma yida Washington ma kpoba nya velia vevie afo Alfred iha ala mi adoma ha na iha na do wizonami. You are listening to Steve and Alfred show from Echo Radio, number one station for all Africans living abroad. My name is Steve. And today I have the honor and the pleasure to welcome my co-host, Alfred, in the Washington studio, where today we would be going to Ghana to welcome a new piece of our program will be introduced today. And so stay tuned for that, where we'll have a new segment of our show every week where we will try to interview someone either in the Ghanaian community or in the African community that is doing something that would like to talk up. So today we would begin that by going to Ghana to speak to a very special friend. But let me see if my friend is ready in the Washington studio, so that he can say his salutations. I see he's still pretty busy there. Let me go to the Washington studios to welcome Sir Alfred. Sir Alfred, how you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic, Uncle Steve. Today is 20.
Alfred, we can hear you though. It looks like
you cannot hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so we're getting Alfred ready for his salutations. It looks like his mic may still be muted. While we're working to get his mic muted, I see my producer in chief is out there in the green room, ensuring that our program goes off as well. We thank you for joining us, producer in chief, one and only Dr. Ford. So once again, we'd like to welcome you to Steve and Alfred show here from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. We would go back to Washington, D.C. to see if my co-host, Alfred, is ready for his salutations to welcome you to the show this afternoon. Alfred, are you ready?
Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, it looks like my good friend Alfred is still working. He's not quite ready. So we would continue with the show. When he gets ready, we'll get him in to introduce it. Like as I was saying, today we would want to start some new segment of our show. After Alfred comes on, he will be giving us some retrospect of the week. In the week in retrospect, we'll recount what happened in the week. And before we come to today's show, and the next segment we would be we'll be going to Ghana. As I said, there's going to be a new segment to the show where every week or whenever we get opportunity, we would like to talk up someone doing something in the community, be here in the United States, anywhere that a Ghanaian or an African doing something. If you give us a call or you talk to our producer, talk to any one of us, we'd like to bring you on and get you, give you some few minutes to talk about what what you're doing. So we will be preloading that segment very shortly. But as we wait for Alfred to come, Alfred, Alfred, why are you ready, Anna?
Yes, sir. If you can hear me, I'm ready.
Washington studios to Alfred Amuzo.
All right, Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah, Alfred, I still can hear you.
Oh, you still cannot hear me? All right, I may have to change my microphone.
Okay, yeah, you're good now. You're good. Alfred, go ahead.
Okay, great. So, hey, thanks to everybody for joining us today. Today is the 25th of January, and we are happy to be here. We are changing the show a little bit, and like Steve said, I'll be giving you a wrap up of all the things that happened over last week. And then, of course, we have a lot of interesting program line up for you today, and we'll be, delving into so many different things, both in Ghana and here. So stay tuned. If you haven't already told your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend that Steve and Alfred are on every Monday, and this is a show that you cannot mix. Thanks for joining us. Tell your friends to join us too. We'll be opening the full line. We welcome your feedback and comments, and we'll be reading them live. Thanks for joining the Steve and Alfred show. Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Alfred. Welcome to the show. We will take a quick break. When we come back, as we said, we have a new segment. We'll go back to Alfred to give us a retrospect, to give us a perspective of the week in retrospect. And from there, we'll be jetting all the way to Ghana to talk to a very good friend who is doing something wonderful in Ghana. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Hey, this your girl coming all the way from the US of A, ya baby, aka ya Phantom. And me di feel a buzzing pan and to see one virtue the money how Ghana mat ada romantic. What's me sending provisions? Esa sutra credit Emma Ebusuya phone and for more Ghana. And one is www.ghanamat.com. Then they would say, boy, a sharp connection. www.ghanamat.com. Let's provisions in credit. Na very young as Ankasa. I have friend numbers, Nana screen as Ghana Mat, ye crano.
Helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever. Use promo code 3FREE. World Remit, a better way to send money. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Steve and Alfred show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. And as we preluded before we took the break, we'll be going back to the Washington studio for Alfred to give us a perspective of the week in retrospect. Any anom ya mobi akwaba. And na ejumedie susamu kakra. Yeah, shasie na yakasaka krebi afa. Yeah, now chia etwemo ne niama bebre. Happen. Na yabako ye nia Alfred. Or Osaya co-host for her and Osaya the host of Ghana Agenda. Amana a brief report on week year etwemo ne niama happen. I was a year US or say a Ghana, so what baby or information or audio. And to my mentor, Minia, Sir Alfred, take it away.
Thank you, Steve. So this is the update to last week. What happened last week? So if you're in the United States, you've witnessed the inauguration of Joe Biden as the president and Kamala Harris as the vice president, which meant that Trump has officially ended his presidency and has departed the White House. So we all witnessed that, but you also noticed that there was a heavy presence of National Guards in the District of Columbia to protect that ceremony. So this is a good thing for those of us who are in the United States because, of course, we knew how tough the last 4 years were. And now that we have a new president and we are going into a new administration, we're hoping that all the promises that he made to the immigrant community, for instance, where he would be extending citizenship or what we call amnesty to people who are here undocumented. We are looking forward to all those policies. Of course, there is also a stimulus package of $1,400 in addition to the $600 that Trump already sent that he promises to deliver. As of today, my understanding is there is a bill forwarded to Congress for the debate, and that bill contains a lot. And so this few days or months would be a very interesting one. He would also promise that he's going to deliver 100 million inoculations, vaccines, to the citizens of the United States. So we are waiting to see how that will be rolled out. Matter of fact, I listened to him today where he said he's expecting to have 1 million vaccines out in a day, 1 million vaccines in arms a day. He wants to boost that up to 1.5 million, which means if he was doing that each day, likelihood is that he would hit the 100 million vaccines in his first 100 days. So that is very encouraging for those of us in the United States. And we know, Corona hasn't taken it easy on us at all. So anything towards getting vaccines into people's arms is very welcome. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Larry King. Larry King, who has been one of the ace broadcasters over the last 40 years, passed on at age 87. Larry King had also contracted the coronavirus. He was receiving treatment in his California home, and word came out, I think a couple of days ago, maybe 3 days ago, that he has passed on. So we have a video that we are going to show in memory of Larry King. For those of us in this business, we all remember who he was. If you don't know Larry King, watch this video.
Good evening.
For more than 50 years on television and radio,
Indianapolis, hello.
the famous and the infamous,
It was a very traumatic experience.
they all opened up to Larry King.
Goodbye.
My number one motto, I never learned anything when I was talking.
Born in Brooklyn in 1933, young Larry Zeiger dreamed of a career in radio. He chose the name King from a liquor store ad after moving to Miami in search of his big break.
Did a radio show from Pumpernickel's restaurant. Bobby Darin walked in one day. Jimmy Hoffa walked in.
Arrested in 1971 for grand larceny, King was acquitted and returned to radio, eventually broadcasting his call-in show nationwide.
Welcome
to Larry King Live.
In 1985, Ted Turner lured him to the fledgling CNN.
Any personal regrets?
Where he became the network's biggest draw, reaching more than 1 million people each night.
We can stop that without NAFTA, and we can stop that with a good NAFTA.
How do you stop that without NAFTA?
His 1993 NAFTA debate was viewed by 11 million, setting a new record for a cable broadcast. King said his secret was not to over-prepare.
Yeah, I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am?
And bragged he never read the books his guests promoted.
What I worry about is where I think I know too much. The day I go into a studio saying I've asked all the questions and I've heard all the answers is the day I gotta quit.
In 2010, amid faltering ratings, he was replaced with Piers Morgan.
For now, for here, it's time to hang up the nightly suspenders.
But rather than retire, he took his show to the internet, and later, Russian broadcaster RT.
I just want to make sure that the election is 100% fair.
A lifelong Dodgers fan, King survived a heart attack in 1987 and was married 8 times to 7 different women.
I never thought this is strange. In fact, I used to think if people were married for a long time, they were strange.
Larry King said he hoped to be remembered as a good father and an interviewer who added to the knowledge of the world. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News.
Alfred, you have to turn your mic on.
Oh, so you didn't hear?
Right. Yeah, we couldn't hear anything you were saying.
So all the good things I say, you guys didn't hear it. Okay, good. So I was saying my thoughts and prayers with the family of Larry King, who has been on radio for the longest, and we appreciate everything he left behind for us. We broadcasting learned a lot from his interview. Now going to Ghana very quickly. We have a court case that has been filed by John Dramani Mahama, a petition about the election result that was announced by the Electoral Commissioner. Last week, the former president's team, which is a petitioner, filed an application to serve interrogatories on the respondent, on the Electoral Commissioner. That application was denied. It was denied because the judges thought that application did not have substance or is not relevant to the case being discussed. Okay. Now, the petitioner's lawyers disagree with the Supreme Court and therefore ask for a review of that decision. A review meaning that instead of 7 judges, there will now be 9 judges reviewing the decision that was taken to deny that application. And the review is usually to consider whether, as a matter of law, that denying that application will put an undue burden on the petitioner. So the date to hear that review was set at 28th, which is going to be Thursday of January, 28th of January on Thursday, next Thursday. Now, the court proceeded to ask both the petitioner and the respondent to file their witness statements on the past Friday, which the petitioner did not file. The petitioner didn't file that because they thought they needed to hear the result of the review in order to proceed, because the interrogatories which they filed on the respondents was going to be something they depended on to kind of write their witness statement. So they wanted those interrogatories answered. And therefore, in order to have the interrogatories answered before starting the case itself, the substance of the case itself, the petitioner also filed another application to stay proceedings. In other words, this application is saying the court should stop hearing the case until they render a decision on the review. We are scheduled to have the court come back tomorrow, and when they do, they will be, ruling on, or they'll be giving us, they'll be ruling on the application to stay, and also starting the case, the substantive case itself, should they deny the application to stay. Should they grant the application to stay, that means we will have to wait till Thursday for them to give us their ruling on the review before the case resumes. So that is something that happened next week, and we are expecting that to continue to run into this week, or we are going to see the rulings from those applications happen this week. The next thing I wanted to quickly talk about is something that is going to happen next week, is that the Monetary Policy Committee, which is a part of Bank of Ghana, and this committee sets out monetary policy, usually to target inflation. They will be meeting, they meet every 2 months. The 98th meeting of that committee is going to start tomorrow, and then they would release a press statement on February 1st. The reason that is important is whatever comes out of that meeting determines what interest rate you pay in Ghana, or what inflation rates are, or what we refer to as monetary policy rates in Ghana. It's very key for determining price for things, whether in the stock market or when you are doing financial transactions in Ghana. And then the last thing, which is already started and is continuing, is the funeral of the late President the late President John Jerry Rawlings. We lost Rawlings, I think right before the election, or was it before election or right after the election? But then the funeral is now taking place, and we'll be talking about a lot of that today, and we'll be showing videos from that procession. So this is your updates from last week, or things that happened in last week that you may have mixed. And this show, the Steve and Alfred Show, wants to bring you that every week when we start. So Steve, that has been my update. Do you have any question for me or comments before we go on? We can hear you.
Happening, around, most especially here in the U.S. and also in Ghana. You did a great job in setting up the stage for us to bring us, that quick update as to what is happening. A lot has been happening. It's been full of news. So we really appreciate this news segment of you bringing us updated on what is happening around us. Often than not, we get caught up in what we're doing, what we're doing personally, and lose sight of some of those things happening. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I don't have any question for you. I know we would be talking, and I see there's quite a few people that are online already. I see Chairman Prince Ajima joined us from Washington, D.C. area, and he was alerting us that we did not have sound. And so it's Ray. Ray also was telling us that we did not have sound. So Chairman Prince, thank you for alerting us. And also Ray too, thank you also for alerting us. I see our good brother Afo Kofi is joining us all the way from Canada as well. We would go, okay, we're going to go to Ghana, but I see our friend in Ghana is not on the screen. So when he comes back, he has left the green room. And so when he come back, we would go to Ghana and talk to Reverend Meshach. Reverend Meshach was waiting patiently. So we'll be talking to Reverend Meshach to tell us what is going on in Ghana and what he's doing. Utie Ako Radio. And then Nkomo da Yenia Alfred and I say what's set the stage in the son of Odika kind and maybe be happen with US Anomo. Yenia and I say Papa Larry Kane, and so any hope you that King. Yenina ye feel so I radio late night na not the king of late night show. Larry Kane on the Swanyani baby. And I know also, and also at church we say there is a new sheriff in town. Yeah, the president of the United States say, yeah, see akunya ama yeah, yeah papa oh yeah, yeah papa yeah papa no yeah. Joe Biden, akokra Joe Biden, so ono abesina akonya no so. Yeah, dana so wa mayate ase. Na no so no ka no, o se niam bebre obetena ase, o de niam insisai bebre eba. Nti na ya dana se. Yeah, papa Joe Biden no. And ye nuaba so oh yeah, the first female vice president of United States, and so yeah, that omunyina say yeah more quantity and yeah more nyansa so omo ebitimi akrakra on my na have a bria fam with this last 4 years na nya nyina atoto ne kwemu yeah da ma say bebre oma boy juma yeah da ma say and I know odi e ko Ghana so no so Ghana so the court and some edit to ja mu how I yeah file cases me ni lawyer nti ya ko lawyer for ya mu yeah Alfred or yeah host of Ghana agenda into an Ghana agenda no mu hunya me bebre into a no mu nyina mu and I rewa samba konso na ya papa JJ papa J nso wanya ne baby call papa James wa be ye ni die be ma be ye bi wa be ye ni nyina papa James apa be ye bi and so ono so anya ne baby kwa this week so ne de ka kind Alfred mo no yeah the dana na ya jana kwan nti ya da Alfred ase na nke say ya ko Ghana ne akokofa ye nua yeah Reverend Meshach and so Reverend Meshach so we fi green room no at green home room no mo twan yen so we fi green room no kwan so yes akọ Ghana na ya hwɛ sɛ yes abɛkana na nti yebetua adwumadie no so yo anya mi met mo bɔne wɔ kɛ once chake ni bia me fio on chake ni bia me fio no bɔne Alfred fie na kan no nke jengmene ke ya na kan no wɔ ba fe wɔ show yo shukan be ne wɔ ya Ghana hye fia ke wɔ nyemi nu ani shukan wɔ club agbasa ne Ghana e be bia ne e wɔ ka wɔ ne ne hye no wakele baba ni eko agbasani ne wo ba take a short break konika wo ba koni wacha wasade ba nyeka ya eko kla nyesha video ake message chen woke noni titu no san wa agbasani ne wakbaba ni woke nye adwen niji shika sani jinon waka yagba shanine you onyeka ya ikokula you are listening to Steve and Alfred show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. We'll be right back after this short break, and then we will take the next segment where we'll be we're going to go to Ghana and talk to a young man doing some wonderful things in Ghana, but he has left the green room. So when we come back, we would go straight back to Alfred to segment the next phase of our show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hey, this your girl coming all the way from the US of A, yeah, baby, aka Ya Phantom. And me di feel like buzzing pan and to see one virtual the money how Ghana mat ada romantic. What's me sending provisions? As I such credit, Emma Ebusuya phone and the form one Ghana. And one is a www.ghanamat.com. And they would say, boy, a sharp connection. www.ghanamat.com. Let's provisions in credit na really angazankaza. I have friend numbers na mo screen na seno. Ghana Mat ye krano.
Any little savings helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, Enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever. Use promo code 3FREE. World Remit, a better way to send money. Terms and conditions apply.
What else?
Welcome back to Steve and Alfred's show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. We're going to go to Ghana. I see our dear friend in Ghana is about getting ready. So we'll wait for him to get ready. But Alfred, while we wait for Ghana, while we wait to get to Ghana, you know, it's a long way to Ghana. So while we wait to jet all the way to Ghana, tell us what we'll be discussing today.
Yes. So today, we'll be looking at. Can you hear me, Steve? Right. So today we are looking at taxes. We are looking at income tax because we know it's that time of the year and everybody is getting their W-2s, their 1099s ready. So we thought today is the right day to discuss taxes. Of course, the dates for taxes, and usually which begins on January 15th, has been extended. So we are now starting somewhere in February. So we want to prepare you towards the tax season. Not only in individual taxes, but we also want to look at business taxes. This year is going to be the first year that we actually have to deal with PPP if you're a business owner in our taxes. So there are so many things out there that you would have to be aware of when you go to file your taxes, and we'll be breaking it all down today. Steve.
Yo, Alfred said, and then say your name US Hanamana. From January 1st, I could see say April 15th. A tax season USA. Now US maybe brain and I said just about almost every year beyond almost the memo. And him says that yeah can say see I can say mumu bebre I start see more filing more taxes. And mumu be a year taxes then by yourself. And I said no one say more taxes. Yo, so why we here with taxes, dear? I say and they show you I say we pa because near me be brave assistant and see Alfred any no mubi. Alfred any can say or your CPA or what or near me be brave or yeah. A mobile any CPA. A juma ye in the yeah Eddie Abwa community na yina ye wo ye juma ye na kakra. Yes, ye de pekakra, a disha ye busia, and ye and so radio so program radio, your community service until ye ediapua community. Now, Alfred, you been so or ye tax ejuma. And then or baba chichrimu. Na nyamie ya dum so or behesa ne sabeka ni no mubia. So tax ejume omunimu pa no ma chichire mu na niema ewo mu no na so watimi ate ase na kakra uso ese wosaka na uso wosaka ene nkomo tichira eba bedini ene yo novio egba ba wona kata kwenye taxes egba minufoga cho taxes minyaba la US afia wale be yawa yenye a tax season yeta amagede a tax dowo amado kwiko yinana tax preparers amado nto ha mi amagede wa mi anto mi woni na nyama de ka wona wonto taxes aka agbaba show ya ejeba na agbojidi ayo amashama na echiade kuga na kokodada how anonunum adotua maraku na we na da na klada daga maraku ka kaba na hoshi dan na doto mi aba program we try because Alfred enye a CPA ye ba hola do ha o yoga vi na mi adoje jo taxes on maraku ka makpoba matwa yide Ghana ha mi afo ya jom na mi adoje play vie yenye new segment ke me introduce gala mi abashu but na amada enye Ghana view ala Africa view elete father another woman a daughter woman ka na yomi na minyakwa ka oha mia cover a kaji na mia doje via the clo na de nu de kalo vado manami ale ani ka womele do ka womela lo ani foma womele eta ka mia yide Ghana na mia fono na mia novia. Reverend Mishak, how you doing, sir? Rev, what's a minka?
Yes, I feel I'm a
Reverend Mishak, what's a minka?
Mpacho metonka. What's a minka?
Yeah, Rev, what's a minka?
Mpacho, I'm a tonka. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Rev, Mpacho, what's saying?
Me hoye na Mpacho swe.
Rev, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, Rev. Okay, what's a minka?
Yeah, me tonka.
Yeah, Steve, we can hear Rev, but you probably cannot hear him. So I don't know.
Africa, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay, Rev, how you doing, sir?
Steve, I'm doing well by God's grace. Hope all is fine there also.
Okay. All right, so this is a new part of our show where we'll segment someone doing something, and it matters not where you are. So you are our premium in this segment. Tell us a little bit about yourself and
great.
what you're doing in Ghana.
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this great interview. It's an honor to speak from all the way from Ghana, West Africa. And Alfred, your co-host, good evening. I hope everything is well there. And I also greet all your listeners who are watching from all over the world. I'm Meshach Fred Minta, Reverend Meshach Fred Minta, and I've been in ministry for about 20 years now, doing different things for God. And for now, I'm married with 3 children, and I'm here in Ghana, to be precise. And I now starting a new ministry. When I say ministry, I mean a church that will be a complete fellowship where people will gather and serve. And I have other fellowships that we call Damascus Road pulpits, where we go out to the communities and the towns and villages to preach the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. Then we also have the Damascus Road message, what is a short message that we share to people all over the world through the social media. You understand that it is important that the Christian community take advantage of the social medias of today. So we have a message called the Damascus Road message, which is composed by me to share every morning. And then we also have the Damascus Road help ministry, where we also take items from people, for example, UK and from Ghana, Italy, and other places, where we give it to young people who are in need, and we provide those items for them. So we help the needy, we help the poor, but there are people who have partnered with Damascus Road to bless us with the items, sometimes use item from United States of America, from Italy, or from UK, from our partners who have partnered us to let us reach to the poor and the needy in our society. So basically, we are out there preaching the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, like Jesus Christ did. He blesses, he preaches the message, and also admonish us to be of a blessing to the poor. So that is what basically I do here. Yeah.
Yo, Reverend Mishak Fred Minta, Yadasi Bebre, any a Juma wo ye a Wagana Honomo. Sana Okaye wo ye uwo Ghana. So uwo Accra. So if I recall it. And now mo Juma. Sana Wadika a year church. Now I'm was starting.
Yes,
a
I'm
friend,
sorry.
Damascus. A friend say the road to Damascus,
Okay.
and I said Damascus road. Yeah, friend said.
Okay, Steve. Let me clarify something here.
Okay.
The church is called Railway International Ministry.
Okay, railway. Okay.
Yeah, Railway International Ministry. But there are ministries under that. And that is what I described, that we have Damascus Road messages that we send to people by taking advantage of the social media to reach out to many. And we also have the Damascus Road pulpits where we physically move out to preach to people. Then we also have the Damascus Road Help Ministry. That is basically for people who are in need. But for that one, we solicit for funds and items from partners all over, from Accra, Ghana, here, UK, United States of America, and Italy. Those are the people we have partnered so far. So, but the ministry, the church itself is Railway International Ministry.
Yo, into railway. Okay, yeah, yeah, don't want to see
Yeah.
And say, okay, into say I will church a new ministry, but and I said this ministry has been around for a while.
It's been around for a while. Yes, it's been, the activity has been around for a while, since 2018.
Okay.
But we decided that we need to make a church where, as people come to Christ, we need to get a place to gather them and teach them the word of God. Hence, Railway International Ministry.
Yo, yàtò wá sí ẹ yẹda sí pèpèrè nti sisi àná maame bi sọ sẹ́nà working mo wọ ministry mo partner with others mo boaboa the less fortunate until you have some few partners that you have named. And so obi will be now they want to help you now. How can they do that?
Okay, one, they can reach us by our contacts. If you go to Facebook, we have Damascus Road Puppets. Our contacts are there. You can always call us. And I believe that you also give us the opportunity to put my number out there, so that people who may want to help can call us. And I don't know if you also give me opportunity to appreciate some partners out there who do send us items and cash to help the people. Some of them are, though, they don't want their names to be out, because the Bible admonish us to not to do our acts of righteousness in public. So people are skeptic about that, and they don't want to actually show their faces when they are giving. Nevertheless, it is important that I mention some few people who are dear. We have our sister, Minister Pat from United Kingdom, UK. Minister Pat Welbeck, Mrs. Welbeck. She's been a blessing. She sent a lot of items. It just landed. She paid for everything for the needy. That was beautiful. Madam Vivian sent us fiscal cash to be able to meet the need of people this Christmas. It was such a wonderful thing she did, and we're able to meet a lot of people. And Samuel Ekem, also from the United States of America, he also sent her some money to bless. And in Ghana, we have Violet from Winneba, also West Africa, and they have been a blessing. They have been a blessing. I think it's worth recommending.
Yo, hey, nti ate Vivian nso discover mo say mo fendi bronya. Any
Yeah,
Until we may to you as whole. I take the no buy a show, so no about support you, no share no now I
Such a
share.
blessing.
And so I could read so I can hear Bibika crying the tia one or
Such a
two.
blessing.
Catch our TV and said,
Out
you
of
think
the
no man finding in and call Gano. Yeah, what has no. Omra so crazy, a journey, so
out
yeah.
of the
Okay.
out of the money she sent, we were able to get a printout for Damascus Road message here. So as you can see it on the screen. So we do this and we also give it out there. Anytime we go out to preach the gospel, we put on this t-shirt to also announce the ministry and what we are doing for God.
Yo, Reverend Meshach, yeah, that's a bit brave. So, waba, one year, baby, chicken, komoka cry, a fire, a juma, moye, a wagana, hot, yamin shram, and yamin shramoso. Before ever my walk on patcho, who will be the opposite with the giant. And so now, walking. You accept support from everywhere. And as I say, if you are not crown, so now you're looking for a place to worship. And so, no, I try a baby, I saw in the wall, na eja, yenina, ya ba, na ya beji in shrakakra.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. And the message I have for the world is that Jesus Christ admonished us to forgive. That is the main message that we want to put out there. So Damascus Road, we are talking about the preaching Jesus Christ, the kingdom of forgiveness. Without forgiveness, you cannot allow God's governance to operate, because God always want to use people to bless others. And if you see what happened in the Garden of Eden, because Adam could not ask for forgiveness from God, the blessing was seized. God shut the door behind him. And this is what is happening to many people. Are not blessing their family people because they are offended one way or the other, and they have blocked the door of blessing to them because of anger, because of pain, because of what somebody has done and they cannot easily forget. It is making people be in bondage. And so if God, Jesus Christ in Matthew chapter 6, 7, saying that we should forgive so that he can forgive us, he was trying to tell the world and his followers that until we forgive people, he cannot operate through man. Because when we rebel against each other, God cannot use us to bless ourselves. So it is important that we acknowledge as believers and as Christians that forgiveness is paramount in the Christendom. That is the main reason why Jesus Christ came, to forgive all of us our sins, irrespective of who we are or the kind of sin we committed. And so I admonish all of you to have a space in your heart to forgive, no matter what it is. And I also want to tell everyone listening to me that Jesus preached, Jesus healed, and Jesus blessed. So we bless the needy. And just like I've said, if you have an item, you are not using them. There are disabled people who don't have the means to walk around. There are children who don't have what to wear or what to eat. And that is what we reach out to people, organizations that are charitable organizations, NGOs, and churches that can help us to support such vulnerables in the society. We want to plead with you in the name of Jesus Christ to reach out to us, support us, partner with us to bless such people. And you can, if you want us, we are in Accra, Teshi. There's a place, a suburb called Teshi, and that is where we are located. So when you call 0244 432267, 0244 432267. Yes, and you go to Facebook, we have Damascus Road Pulpits. Our links are there. And YouTube, if you go there, Meshach Minta, YouTube, we are there. You can also reach us from there. So, Steve, I think that I'm down.
Yo, asɔfo Meshach, yɛda ase bebree so aba bɛka yɛn ho awie yi ɔne yɛatwitwe nkɔmmɔ kakra nti yɛda ase bebree nti na ɛnɛ ɛnyɛ yɛ first time yɛwɔ mu a ne yɛasa afra wo na ne yɛkɔkɔ agya na yɛne wa atwitwe nkɔmmɔ bebree yɛne wa atwitwe me nua yi Alfred ɔhia mpaebɔ bebree nti na ɛyɛ ano abɔ mpaeɛ ama no wae.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so may God be with all of you there in America, all the Africans that are there that have traveled to seek for greener pasture. We pray according to Psalm 23 that may God lead you to the still grounds. May God lead you to the greener pastures. May God anoint your head and lead you and order your steps. The Bible says it is the blessing of God that maketh one rich. May the blessing of God locate all of you in your various homes, various offices, and various communities and shower his blessing upon you. May he cover you, that at the end of the day, when the names are counted after this COVID and the pandemic, your name will be listed in the name of Jesus. No African child will be lost by this pandemic in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Yo, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Alfred, thank you. We thank Reverend Meshach for coming on the show this afternoon. And this was our new segment that we wanted to bring to you. And we'll continue to do this. So if you're out there and there is something that you're doing, it doesn't have to be religious or sacrilegious. Anything that you're doing to help the community as it's doing, it has a new ministry and they help the community a lot by gathering stuff. You can be in cash or in items, and they try to feed the underprivileged. So we thank him for coming on. Let's switch gears here. Let's go to Alfred. We're going to take a break, but we'll continue with the show right away, and we'll go to Alfred to introduce our next. She's smiling back there in the green room to introduce our next guest, so that we can talk about what we are here to discuss, which got to do with money. Alfred, take it away, sir.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Reverend Misha, for all the good word that you said for us and the prayer. Today, I have the privilege of introducing once again Lily Bigelow. Lily is a CPA. She's been with us. I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe the beginning of the month January, she came to talk to us about PPP. Lily is back today, and she will be helping us understand some of the nuances that we should all expect during this tax season, especially if you file your own taxes. So, with all I do, let me introduce again Lily Bigelow. Lily, welcome to the show.
Alfred. Hey, you guys. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Lily, how you doing?
I'm good. It's always so good to be here with you guys. Oh, thanks for turning that. I was like, what's happening? I have to position it.
Anytime I you come on with the laugh, it just gives me more energy. So thanks for doing that.
Yes.
So today you'll be helping us understand, what to expect this tax season, and I'm sure Steve has a lot of questions for you as well. So, Steve, what are you expecting out of Lily today? And maybe you can start with your first question to Lily.
Okay, so let's thank Lily for coming on the show again. She was barely here about 2 weeks ago or thereabouts. And she's, as we all know, this is tax season. And this is a lady, or just about everyone in the tax business has no time at all. So for her to dedicate this amount of time to our service, to the service of the community, we say we are most grateful. So Lily, so we talked about some few things of a couple of days ago, and and I know there are some few guests who wanted to find out. So let me start this segment by asking you this. Last time when you were here, we did talk about PPP, which is the what is it? Payroll protection plan, right?
There you go.
So
Yep.
we talked about it and how this is part of the stimulus package. This is not the first time it's come around. It came around sometime last year in the first stimulus package. Quite a few people took advantage of it, but others did not. So can you re-educate us as to what the PPP is all about? And if you want to transgress into the EIDL, feel free. Tell us, what is it that is in this stimulus package that our people in business can take advantage of, that they don't know and they were not able to take advantage of, and they can, and how they would be able to take advantage of it?
Okay, so first, thank you guys for having me on. Such an honor. And yes, the PPP is not just the PPP, because I want to talk about PPP and EIDL. And the reason is because there are some people that may not qualify for PPP but will qualify for EIDL. So let me get back to your question. So the PPP is here the second round, and there are a lot of our people that did not qualify. Again, it goes back, most important thing was lack of accurate records. We didn't keep any records. A lot of us, when we filed our taxes, we excluded a lot of information in our taxes. A lot of us who are independent contractors, we don't like to report the revenues we make. And those were some of the things that were needed to file the PPP. However, if you made some mistakes, don't kill yourself. One of the things I want to let people know is, if there was an error on your tax return that prevented you from getting the PPP the first time, you can always amend your tax return. That's one thing I have to put out there, because people keep asking me, people keep telling me, oh, I did not include my business, and the business had been existing before 2020, February 2020. What do I do? And I tell them, you can always amend your tax return. I wanted to say that so I don't forget. And so now the PPP is more lax than it was the first time. So before, you needed to use it specifically for payroll and just a few other expenses, but now you can spread it out even for things that you spend for COVID. We have a lot of our people that had businesses and they had to buy things to protect their customers from being infected by COVID. Now, those are things that you could actually use this money for. So if you're an independent contractor, if you're a business person with employees, yes, by all means, you should go ahead and file. If you had filed the first time and you got the money, now all you have to prove to them is these few things. Three things specifically: that you actually suffered a loss of revenue, 25% loss of revenue from one period in 2019 compared to another period in 2020. The second thing is that you're actually going to use all the money that was given to you in the first round. And the third thing is that you have less than 300 employees, which is most of our people now. So, the money is out there. If you didn't get it the first time, please, this is a good time to connect with your local bank and, create those relationships. If you don't have a local bank you can go to, the SBA has an amazing partner program where you provide your information and they pair you up with a bank somewhere else in the country that would be willing to provide this funding to you. Now, when you get the money, it's important that we mention this, because we're usually very focused on getting the money that we forget the forgiveness part. This will be forgiven, but you need to have the records to prove what you spend the money on. So you want to make sure that anything that you take the money, if you spent it for payroll for your employees, you have all the records for that. If you paid yourself to as an independent contractor, just make sure you have all the receipts and all of that to say, I transferred it to my personal account, just like I would have done if I was paying myself. If you paid for anything, like even your internet, by the way, it's also covered by this, part of your rents, all the things that there's a lot of flexibility with the money this time. So please, if you didn't get it the first time, I advise you to apply. Now, there are a lot of people that will not qualify for PPP, and the reason is because their profit and their Schedule C profit and loss statement, they didn't have any profit. And unfortunately, in order to qualify for the PPP, it's calculated based on it's your net profit times 2.5 if you're an independent contractor. So which means if you do not have any profit, like most small business owners, when they start a business, they spend so much and they don't really have any money, left at the end of the year. they will likely qualify for an EIDL loan. Now, with this, it doesn't matter if you made a profit or not, so long as you can show them that you spent some significant amount of money in trying to put your business together, they will approve you for that loan. There's the advanced portion, and the advanced portion, you need to meet certain requirements, like your business has to be located in a low income community. There are a few requirements that you need to meet. You need to have employees, because it's 1,000 per employee up to 10,000. So my thing is, not everybody gets the advance. Last time, a lot of people waited and they never got it. So if you can go ahead and apply for the loan and at least have access to that money and put it in your account, even if you're not using it, I would say go for it while you're struggling to see if you're going to get the advance or not. That would be my suggestion.
All right. Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you so much for that information. Because I do have some few friends who call me, especially some of the friends that are in self business, such as Uber drivers, taxi drivers, and hair braiders, and whatever they abound in our community.
Yes.
And they said, okay, so like you said, their documentation is not up to date or is not up to par. How can they? I know there are some few friends who were able to help some of them in the last, when the last stimulus came around. But if I may ask also, if you took advantage of it the last time around, we know about those who did not, because I have a very good friend of mine, and I think I may have given her your phone number also for her to
Yes. We're
and we're
going to
not
connect
necessarily going to
later.
discuss her issue here, but I'm hoping that she would be able to reach out to you and you'll be able
Yes,
to
she
help her
actually
out.
did already.
She did
Yes, we're
reach
going
out
to.
to you. Great.
Yes.
So that's what we do here at Echo Radio, most especially on Stephen Alfred's show. We got some connections, and if you need any help, just let us, give us a call, and we'll be able to connect you. So, if those who were able to take advantage of it last year, do they stand a chance of doing so again? And if they do, what else do they need to do? If they've already established themselves that they know what to do, they know how to fill these applications, they know how to apply, and they were able to access some of the perks that were available last year, do they do the same thing as they did last year, or is it somehow different this year?
Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. If they qualified for the grant, the chances of
Right.
them qualifying for the grant again will be a lot slimmer. However, for the loan part, for the grant, yes, I have to take
Right.
that back,
Yeah,
because
I was
there are
talking
certain
about a grant.
qualifications
Yeah.
that they have to meet. Yes, there are certain qualifications that they have to meet. One of those qualifications that they have to meet is that they have to be located in a low income community, which means, and so the way it works, there's a map. I was trying to find the name of that map. There's a map that can help you pull up the community
Okay.
and try to identify what their medium earning is. And so if you're able to prove that's where your business is located, then you can successfully qualify for this. There's actually quite a good amount of money that has been set aside for this. Then the second thing is, if you suffered economic loss greater than 30%. So if you suffered economic loss greater than 30%, and I want to go over the different qualifications first. If you suffered an economic loss greater than 30%, you should be able to qualify, right? And then the third thing, you don't want to have more than 300 employees. There are some people that qualify for the grant, but they did not get the full amount. So if you didn't get the full amount, you should be able to apply and you will get the balance of that as well added to your fund. So if they got the grant before and they didn't get the full amount, of course, they should absolutely be able to apply for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me go to Alfred. I see him sitting pretty back there, and I know he does have some questions. So, with the situation where I don't know why others did not, but what do you think may be some of the reasons why, people are in business, they work for themselves and there was funds available? What do you think were some of the issues that you have come across in your line of work that precluded people from taking advantage of it? Is it just lack of the knowledge, that they did not know how, or it was just they thought it was not within their realm of possibility to access those funding? What are some of the you know the issues that you have come across why not too many people, not all of us, have taken advantage of the money
Oh,
here for us?
I love that question. Steve, I'll tell you the truth is lack of information. That's it. Everything else, everything else falls under it. Is lack of information, because if you do not know that you have access to these funds, you will not even pursue it, right? So you will not even take the time to understand what the process entails. So I feel like lack of, because when you don't have enough information, what happens now, you're operating from a less than position, which means you have less information, and it causes you to operate in fear, because the fear is, oh, I don't think it's for me. If I apply, I will not get it. And so you don't even bother to know, you don't even bother to try. That's my top thing, lack of information, the fact that we're not seeking out information. But I'll tell you one thing, even for those that had the information, is that a lot of them did not have the right they did not have the right tax returns. So you had a lot of people that did some kind of work on the side, right? But they didn't want the IRS to know that they made this money. And so they never reported it on their tax return. And guess what? When they applied, that was what the SBA was going by, because that's the only information they have to prove that you actually did some work, or you actually earn some money that you need to be supported for. Remember, this is an economic disaster support, which means they want to see that you were doing something that was creating a revenue for you. And then because of the disaster, you have been impacted so much that you need some form of support. And so, because a lot of people did not file their taxes accurately, I'll tell you, that is what has held so many of them back. So, when they initially applied and they put the information, they were approved instantly. But then, when the SBA will call them and say, okay, go ahead and send the information, what happened? They said what they actually made, except they never reported it on their taxes. So, there's a gap. So, I would say the two things has been lack of information and then inaccurate tax returns. Those two have actually helped people more than anything else. Because if you make like common errors, the SBA can actually reach out to you to fix those. But when you have, inaccurate information on your tax return, there is nothing that they can go by. So that becomes, the only thing that, that is preventing you. Now, however, I haven't really seen them like going after people like they did the first time. But if you notice, when I started talking, I needed to get that out of my chest, because I've seen so many people who are like, oh, I didn't report it on my tax. And I'm saying, once the tax season opens, amend your taxes and then go back and file. That was a mistake you made. The fact that you didn't include it, learn from it. Make sure you amend your 2019 taxes, include whatever you made for your business and the expenses as well, so you can go back and reapply for these funds. It's
Yeah,
still
before I
open for
throw
a
it to
while.
Alfred. Yeah, before I throw it to Alfred, let me just ask you this question. Okay.
Okay.
So a business like Echo Radio, and I think I may have asked you this question the last time. A business like Echo Radio, all we do is service to the community. Do we necessarily, to enable us, I'm sure there is some funding out there for us to support such services. Do we necessarily have to have a 501c3 status as a non-for-profit organization to be able to? And on top of that, having a 501c3 status, do we need to file our yearly how do you call it, yearly reports and what have you? Do we have to necessarily do those two first, have the status, and then to file our yearly what is it 1090 or whatever it is called, 1099, whatever it is,
990.
1090. So we have to file our 1090 every year, or at least
990.
we have filed in 2019 to be able to access any of the funding out there.
Okay, so your question has multiple parts. The first thing is, let me just start from the top. Do you need to be 501c3 to do good? No, you don't. You don't need to be. You don't have to, it's like you starting a business. You do not even have to register your business to start a business, right? But then you have to think of it this way. There are a lot of advantages that come with being a 501c3. And one of the advantages is the fact that people can donate to you and they can write it off. You yourself, you can get a lot of grants from different organizations in order to continue to further your mission. Okay. When you become 501c3, in order for the IRS to continue recognizing you, you need to file the applicable paperwork to keep you in compliance. And your 990 is one of them. You do not pay taxes. However, you have to report whatever it is that that has come in and gone out. If it's under $50,000, there's something called there's a form called the 990N, which is a very simplified form. But if you make over 50,000, the IRS wants to see more details. This is really more of a compliance thing, right? Because it's only fair that if they give you permission, to receive funds from people without exchanging any services and have the people write it off, they should at least know that you're operating and doing the right thing. Now, coming now to the loan. Should you be 501c3 approved to get the loan? Of course, right? Because that's the only way that they can verify and ensure that you're a federally approved organization. Because otherwise, anybody could go and say, I do good, I need the money, but there's no proof of it. So the IRS needs you to have applied and be accepted and be approved as a 501c3 in their database, and then of course still filing your taxes. Even if you had not filed your taxes, I had nonprofits that were approved at the end of 2019, but because they were in operations before February 2020, they applied and they did get the funds. I actually have clients that got the funds and they are not even filed their first 990, but they were already approved by the IRS. They were already functioning before February 2020. So I think the biggest focus should be, prioritizing getting the 501c3 exemption, because for getting COVID, there's still a lot out there that you could do. There's a lot that you could get access to, that right now you would be limited in doing simply because you do not have this exemption. So I would say, you guys can prioritize getting it. Please go ahead and do it so that it can allow you, to get the support that you can get from your community. Have businesses support you and write it off, have individuals support you and get the tax deduction, and enable you to continue doing the good that you're doing in a greater scale. I hope that helps.
It sure does. It sure does. I hope the accounting people on Echo Radio staff and are listening, and if they don't understand something, I'm sure they can reach out to you. Let's throw it to Alfred at the Washington studio and see if you have any questions or any contributions you want to add. So Alfred, take it away, sir.
Oh, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, Lily, thanks, and Steve, thank you for all the good questions you've asked. Lily, while you were talking, you mentioned that you don't, even if you're a business, you don't have to be registered to be a business. So help me out with this.
Okay.
Walk me through, what does one need to become a business, and what forms of business are out there? If I want to form a business,
yes,
what are the options? Where do I have to go to form the business? Where does the IRS come in? And, connect all that for me. And depending on which type of business I file or I form, what taxes do I need to file at the end of the year?
Yes. Oh, that's so good. I love that question, Alfred. Thank you for that. So, when you're thinking about a business, first of all, depending on the kind of business, if you're someone who just wants to start something small in your house, maybe you know how to make sweaters and you say, I want to start it. You actually do not have to be registered with the SEC. That's the Secretary of State to start it. Your name and your social security could actually be your business name and your tax ID. Now, however, if you decided and you said, you know what, I don't want to use my name, even though I'm still testing this business, I want to use another name, but I still don't want to get registered with the SEC. You will still be operating as a sole proprietor. You can get a DBA, which is doing business as, or a fictitious name. So I can get a name saying, Alfred Wonders. So I'll say Lily doing business as Alfred Wonders. I'm still not registered with the SEC. I've just registered the name so that in case somebody wanted to identify my business, instead of calling me, they will call it Alfred Wonders. With that, I can get an employer identification number, or I can still use my social security number. That's good. However, when you realize that the idea you have is so much bigger, especially if you feel like, there's potential to bring in a lot of revenues, and then you're thinking about partnering with other people, then I would advise that you consider registering with the SEC. When you go to register in the SEC, there are three main types of business entities you can get. First entity, you can register as an LLC, which is a limited liability company. The reason it's called a limited liability company is because in case something were to happen and somebody sued you, they can only come for what you have in that business. They cannot touch your home, your personal bank. They cannot touch anything that belongs to you personally. So when you register as a limited liability company, it gives you protection. So if you're someone you think my business is going to grow big, or if you're trying to buy real estate, for example, and you're going to have tenants, right? You can probably have lawsuits. Registering your business as an LLC will protect you so that if a tenant were to sue you, the tenant cannot touch anything that is personal to you or your spouse. They can only come for what's in the business. That's one entity. If you were to get a partner and you wanted to form a partnership with them, you can register as an LLC, but a multiple member LLC or a partnership. What this does is it allows everybody to agree on the percentage of ownership you would have. And then what would happen is when you come to make decisions, you have to make decisions together and things like that. That's a partnership. Then the third option you have is a C corporation, which, registering as a corporation. So with a corporation, what is good about a corporation is that you can have endless number of people join. People can have ownership, can have shares to the company. If you plan to go public, let's say you have this major idea, you plan to go public, that's always a good route to go. Now, is there anyone that is better than another? Not necessarily. It depends on what your business is. Going to the next part of your question, you asked what kind of tax, what is the tax implication of each type of business? So when you're an LLC, the IRS considers you a disregarded entity, which means the IRS doesn't see your business as separate from the owner. So even though you get protection, where your assets are protected, you and your business, according to the IRS standards, there's no difference between two of you. So for your taxes, when you file your taxes, you have to file it with your personal taxes. And it goes on what you call the Schedule C. So I tell everybody, once you start a business, it doesn't matter if you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, a partnership or C corporation, make sure you keep as many, keep all your like every transaction recorded. Okay, one good thing about an LLC is that an LLC allows you to change how you want the IRS to treat you. So if, let's say, you're an LLC and you feel like, what, my company is growing, I want to be an employee of my own company, pay myself, I don't want to pay self-employment tax, because when you're considered disregarded, as in you and your business are the same, you will pay self-employment tax, right? Because you're self-employed. There's tax that you have to pay. Now, if you want to enjoy the benefits of not having to pay that and also have your company pay you as an employee, you can choose to have the IRS treat you as an S corporation, a subchapter corporation. That doesn't change your LLC from being an LLC. It just makes the IRS treat you differently for tax purposes. What is great about it is when you file your taxes now, it's not on your personal tax anymore. It's a completely separate document. You can even have partners, and then every partner will get something called a Schedule K1 that reports the revenues that they each have received. Okay, now that's the LLC. The next thing was the partnership. Remember, I said the partnership is if you're going to have multiple partners putting in money, trying to decide, having ownership in different levels. For taxes, you're going to be expected to file something called a 1065. That's a partnership tax return. So when you file this partnership tax return, all the partners will get, a tax form. Again, that same form called a Schedule K1. It just reports, how much they are each getting out of the business. And then they will take that form and they will file it on their personal taxes. Now, going to the C corporation, the C corporation is kind of like the S corporation, as in it's separate from the owners. But the difference with the C corporation is that it has nothing to do with any one individual personally. Like, it's a separate entity. It stands on its own. It pays tax. It's like a whole independent human being, right? That's what a corporation is. A whole, a functioning person. It pays its own taxes. It pays its employees. And then it has shareholders or stockholders who receive dividends at the end of the year. There's something that a lot of people have probably heard is called double taxation. The reason people don't like C corporations is because the C corporation will pay taxes And then when you get your dividends from there, you also pay taxes. That doesn't necessarily mean the entity is bad. It just means that your business, the type of business you're in, would determine what kind of entity will work for you. And that's why it's so great to talk with, like a CPA or someone who knows what they are doing. So you just don't rush and go register any entity, and then you get stuck at some level. Alfred, did that cover most of it? And I apologize
Wow.
if I'm speaking too fast.
You just took me back to accounting class. Oh my God, I'm scratching my head.
Yeah.
How do I put all this information all in easily understandable formats? But you did a wonderful job. I think you've covered majority of all of it, pretty much. The only thing I wanted to ask is, uh, a lot of people don't know they need an accountant. Make the case for me. Why do I need you? Why do I need to hire you?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. And I think you touched on something. Did you notice when I finished talking, you said it reminds me of accounting class? Yes, that's why you need an accountant, because we put in the years to learn this stuff, right? We have the knowledge of it. Everybody has their areas of expertise, and we've spent time understanding how these things work. So that way we can give you the support that you need. A lot of people go to tax preparers, people that have just been trained to put in numbers. Well, that person doesn't understand the big picture. When you come to an accountant, what an accountant does is the accountant sees the bigger picture. Your accountant sees, looks at your story from January to December. They try to make sense of your numbers, right? Like, for example, if someone who is an Uber driver came to me to file taxes, I love that, because when they go to other people, they just take the information that they got from the Uber site and they put it in. I'm an accountant. I'm thinking, wait, before you went and picked up a client, right? Because you don't turn on your meter until you pick up a client. That's when Uber starts to record your miles. But guess what? You had to drive from your house to go pick up that person. That's business mileage. A typical tax person will not think like that. A typical tax person will take your number and put it into the system. But this is me as your accountant. I'm going, but no. If you had to drive to this person, then you had to have covered mileage that is business mileage, and we cannot leave that there. So if you think about it, Uber drivers are almost driving double the mileage that Uber records, because they drive to pick up a client. After they drop off the client and turn off their meters, they have to drive back home. So you see how now, for me, thinking like an accountant, I'm trying to make sure that we're catching every single expense that my client has to incur in order for them to do their business. Okay, now I want to say something, because in this world of accounting, we have 3 categories of people, right? Maybe even 4, but I'll do the simple ones. You have a bookkeeper. A bookkeeper helps you to track records. Then you have an accountant, which is someone who has a bachelor's in accounting and, sometimes a lot of experience. But then you have the people that are CPAs, that are certified public accountants. Now, the certified public accountants are the ones now that have taken it a step further, put in several hours of studying, understood the tax code, taken some really difficult exams to prove that, hey, I know this stuff inside out, right? When you go to someone like that, they just don't look at one tiny piece of transaction. They look at everything. The reason I'm differentiating this is because sometimes people will talk to an accountant and they think, oh, I have an accountant, that settles it. But your accountant is very limited. In fact, the IRS doesn't even just recognize an accountant in the case of representing you in a tax court, but your CPA can do that. So, when you're thinking of going to a bookkeeper or an accountant, I need you to also consider the kind of complex situations that you have. Make sure that if you're going to any of these people, even though they can do some of the work that CPAs do, in fact, they do probably similar work, they just don't have the authority in certain areas, and they are not really there to think of a big picture. So I wanted to paint that out. I wanted to point that out so that people don't think, hey, accountants are all the same, or because somebody is putting in numbers, they're an accountant. No, there's a big difference. A bookkeeper will record your numbers, what comes in, what went out. That's it. An accountant will help to create financial statements for you. It will help you see, hey, in the month of January, this came in. In the month of February, in the first quarter, this was what we made, which is great. But your CPA now looks at the big picture and goes, yeah, we need to withhold taxes here. Or, have you considered investing in this? Or, think about, becoming an S Corp, because you're becoming very profitable and you want to save on self-employment taxes. I hope that helps in making that decision. After you're mute.
I always do that just so I'm not giving feedback while you were talking. So, Steve, you asked 3 questions. So, am I allowed to ask my third one? Okay, so quickly, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Alfred.
Yeah. So you did make a case for why they need accountant. So before you leave us, I want you to leave us with where we can find you. But beyond that,
Yeah.
I got an IRS letter because I have a small business that I'm running.
Yeah.
I don't have records. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I want to get those records. If somebody files something on my name or to my business's EIN, how do I get that information? Now, all this is business. What if it's also an individual? I'm an individual. I haven't filed my tax for years. Meanwhile, I've been working, but I don't even know where my W-2s are. And I come to you, a CPA. Please help me out. I also and I want you to end it with this tax season. When is the tax season going to start, and what are some of the things we need to look out for?
Yes. Oh, that's good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I want to touch on that fact because it's so important. If you do not have access to your tax records, if let's say, you've been working, you don't have your W-2s or any of that, there is something known as your transcript. You can actually request that from the IRS yourself. It's not a complicated process. You can request it from the IRS. You just go into their website and you say request for transcript, and it will show you how to go. You put in your information, you put in, your social, and then you can confirm with like a debit or a credit card, and then you request your transcript. What is great about a transcript is that if somebody had paid you any money and reported to the IRS, but you did not get record of it, your transcript will let you know. So sometimes you've had people that did, like a 1099, to let the IRS know that they paid you for some, work that you did for them. But maybe you had changed your location, changed your address, and they never got that 1099, never got to you. When you get your transcript, you will see all of that. And that way the IRS will not come to you and say there's money that you earned that you did not file taxes on. Does that mean you're the only one who can request? No, we can also request it for you. Like, remember, as I told you, as CPAs or, even certain certain agents for the IRS, you can actually come to us and we will be able to request your transcript for you. We will charge you a little fee. But you can do it yourself. So I don't want you to think you have to go pay a fee for someone to get that for you. You can always get it yourself. That's the first, that's something I need to put out there. So that way, if you don't have W-2s, you can file your taxes. Now, let me come to the tax season, because tax season is getting ready to open and to launch again. Is that the right word? Open launch. The IRS pushed it to the 12th of February. Normally, we should have been expecting it around now. It's usually around the 28th or the 29th of January. But I believe that with all the changes that happened with COVID, the loans, the stimulus packages, they are making a lot of adjustments to their systems, and to the tax forms. So this is definitely a good time to start compiling your tax documents. If you're a business person, you want to start putting all your tax record, your financial records together. So if you didn't have a bookkeeper, that's okay. If you're a small business, just pull all your bank statements and go and add up all the categories. What you spent on meals, what you spent on contractors. You want to start putting these numbers together. So when tax season starts by the 12th of February, you're filing your taxes because you want to get it out of the way as soon as possible. For individuals, the same. Now, there are certain types of businesses that have to file even sooner. You guys remember I mentioned the S Corp election, where you can be treated as a subchapter or a subchapter corporation. People like them and partnerships have to file their taxes by March 15. And the reason is because when they file their taxes, if they have partners, the partners get a form called the Schedule K1, and they need to take that form and file their personal taxes as well. So if your business entity is one of these, if you have a partnership or an S Corp, you want to make sure that you have everything prepared and filed by the 15th of March. Then for all individuals, all other businesses, small businesses, LLCs, even your C corporations, taxes are due on the 15th of April. However, if let's say you didn't get all your documentation on time and you need time, please make sure you have an extension put in by your due date. So, which means if you're a partnership or you're an S corp, let your extension be put in by the 15th of March. If you are an individual, an LLC or a C corp, make sure that your extension goes in by the 15th of April. You want to make sure this goes in. Now, something I have to also point out, if there's any of you here who is a business person and you paid any independent contractor over $600, you want to make sure that you file the 1099 and send their copy and file with the IRS before the end of January. Because if you don't get it in by that time, the IRS will penalize you $50 for each late filing, sometimes even $100. So you want to make sure that you file that paperwork. If you have employees by now, your payroll system should have done it. If they haven't, please make sure it's done before the 1st of February. You don't want that to be late. So yeah, so those are just some dates to really keep in mind as we prepare for this tax season.
All right. So Alfred, let's go to the phone line. Let's go to the our Facebook very quickly, and then we take a quick break, and then when we come back, then we can talk about what's new, and just as we're talking about taxes, so we can look at what's new, what we need to look at.
I think Lily has to leave us.
Actually, I have another interview.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So Alfred, so take it away, and then let's wrap up with Lily, and then we can ask you other questions.
Okay, Lily, yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you for showing up today again and delivering. You've always done so, and you've done so perfectly. We are in love with you, and we will bring you back as we have topics that I know you can discuss anything, but definitely we want to bring you back here to Aqua Radio another time, and hopefully you would accept our invitation. So thank you for coming, and we are really grateful for that.
Thank you guys.
Lily, before you leave, though, can you, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, I know they can call me, they can call Alfred, but if there's someone listening right now, they want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you without going to us?
So they can either, call me on 773-977-5556 or visit our website on www.arknps.com. That's ARKNPS.com. Or they can email me at Lily, LILLY, at arknps.com.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We look forward to having you on our tax corner, maybe once a month or thereabout. Thank you so much.
We'll be so honored. Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
All right. So Alfred, let's go to our phone lines and let's see. Let's go to our Facebook page and let's see some of the comments from our Facebook. And then after that, we take a quick break. We know Prince Ajima had joined us earlier from the Washington, D.C. area. He is the chairman of the NDC in the Washington, D.C. area. We thank Chairman Prince from joining us. Then Ray Raskonen. Ray joined us also earlier on, and we appreciate and alerting us that we're having sound issues. Then the focal fee joined us all the way from the Toronto area. So we thank Afoko Fee. He's the vice president of the Council of Aware Associations of North America. We thank Afoko Fee for joining us. And my dear friend Vivian, who comes on every Monday when we are on air, and she's joining us all the way from New Jersey, one of our favorite fans. So we thank her for joining us this afternoon as well. And then we have Dr. Ofori, Edward Ofori, joining us to say it's a great explanation, Lily. Thank you so much. And then, so let me see, Dr. Ofori says a great explanation. Thank you, Dr. Ofori. And then we have Reverend Fred Mishak Minta, who was our guest for today. And if you missed that segment, this is going to be something new that we're going to be doing every week if we can find anyone. If you have a business, there is any contribute to the community, please text us and we'll try and make some time with you to be on air. We'll segment you on air so you can tell the rest of our listenership what you are doing. So he says, God bless you, Steve and Alfred, for a great interview. We thank you too for coming on. And then he says, Lily is just good on the job. Thank you. I know Millie Afo also joined us earlier on. And Labi Mansa also join us. Anastasia, Ernest, I don't see you on my screen, but Ernest also joined and says, I am watching. I'm watching you. Cornelius Akume also join us. That's from the Colorado area as well. And Emmanuel Owusu also joined us and also says we are watching. For some reason, I can't find those of you on my screen. That's why we couldn't project your name. But if you have any questions, if you have any task questions, we have your man. Alfred is here to take any of those questions. So please, you can give us a call at 773-960-5416. That's 773-960-5416. Or you can just send your comments through our live feed on our Facebook portal, and then we can read that for you. But Alfred, we just have a new page as well. We just opened a new page as well, which is Steve and Alfred Show. So I know you have been following Steve's Facebook page and Alfred and Echo Radio, but Steve and Alfred Show, which is one of the newest combination here, we've just opened a new page, which is Steve. That is going to be the official page for our show. So please check us out, Steve and Alfred Show page. Like us up, and then we'll be opening our YouTube as well, so that you can continue to subscribe as well. So the first thing is that check us out. Check Africa. You tell them a little bit about our page. What do they need to do to go on our official page so that they can like us and follow us on our new page?
Yeah, Steve. So I think you've actually said it. But all they needed to do really is to look for Steve and Alfred Show page on Facebook. Steve and Alfred Show. And when you get to the page, click the like button so that anytime we come up with our show or we put a poster that has to do with what we will be discussing on our next show, it comes to you automatically, or you get an automatic notification that Steve and Alfred has posted something that you should take a look at. So each time we come on live, you'll be notified whenever you go in and click and like our page. So the page again is Steve and Alfred Show on Facebook. We are working on the YouTube one that should also be ready by the time we come here next week.
Yeah, so our target is to hit 1 million followers. We have just started, and for those of you, I think there is a few that have already signed onto our page and are following us. We want to thank them for being our first followers. I think there is a few of you who have. I know Vivian have, and a few others have already. So we would like to use this platform to say thank you for signing onto our Facebook page, our official Facebook. But please share the page, invite other friends to get on our page. And they said every great journey begins with the first mile, right? Okay, so we've just taken the first step to open our Facebook page, which is official page for Stephen Alfred Show. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get into your questions. Send us your questions about anything you want to know about taxes or anything else that you want to know. And Alfred and myself will try and feed those for you. And I know yeah, that must be brave, some of a kind of home, and I can't for baby. And so no segment yeah, Mr. Craby near Samba, yeah, bana. Question B will be alpha taxes home and Alfred, and so on also a obia or yet CPA on also taxes no nemo papa internal Frey will be to me Alfred 773-960-5416 yes 773-960-5416 yeah homo crazy na yapa na yetia ejumedi and so yadamasi pebre okay yadamasi pebre. We'll be right back after this short messages. You are listening to Steve and Alfred Show from Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad.
Hey, this your girl coming all the way from the US of A, yeah, baby, aka Ya Vandam. And me di feel a buzzing pan and to see one virtue the money how Ghana mat other romantic. What's me sending provisions? As I such credit, Emma Ebusuya phone and the form one Ghana. And one is a www.ghanamat.com. And they would say, boy, a sharp connection. www.ghanamat.com. Let's provisions in credit. Na really ankasa. I have friend numbers na mo screen na seno. Ghana Mat ye crano.
I want to call on the son of the soil, our brother Hans Bags.
Ooh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, Hans Bags.
It's Tears Beats.
I pray for mercy, abundant grace, heavenly blessings. I hate nobody, just wanna be me, wanna be free, free like a bird. Agbenya make me nagbetowo, do me agbezude. No vitoji mega fowo. No vidoji, no eji, elavanyo, mega chiji madedi wo. Lucy maudo, eyako, elavame, mega buta me fuwo. Nyao abatuo, nyankame abatuo, nyao ajodeji wo. Amewo wa to flow, amewo wa lefuo, amewo wa no woko. Agbenya make me nagbetowo, do me agbezuge. No vidoji mega fowo, the mauloko elavanyo. Good things come to those who wait. To those who wait, to those who trust in the Most High, it's never late, it's never late. Just try and keep on trying. At the end of the day, we go celebrate, jubilate, we go pop champagne. Ooh yeah, we go jubilate, celebrate, and we pop champagne.
I want to call.
To the newest and best authentic African restaurant in the Chicago metropolis, Mukase, your home away from home. Come fulfill your cravings with authentic African dishes like curry and beans with fried plantain, popularly known as red, rare soup, apunu soup with dried fish, authentic Ghanaian jollof rice, fried rice with chicken, apem and spinach with fresh avocado, kenke and baked tilapia, banku and oko stew. Whilst enjoying great high life tunes, we are open Monday to Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 noon to 8 p.m., when we have our special Omuto and Tozafi or TZ. We are conveniently located at 1363-5 West Wilson Avenue, Chicago. We can cater and host your parties and special events and occasions like weddings.
Welcome back to Steve and Alfred's show. You are listening to Echo Radio, your number one station for Africans living abroad. Before you so na na ye ni ye nuaba Lily obi a ono a ɛwɔ ne accounting firm ɔwɔ Chicago ɛne emiamia bebree. Nti na wohia question bia about accounting principles anaasɛ bibia ɛfa accounting ho bia na wobɛtumi ahwehwɛ no na wɔtumi aboa wo. Yo, sɛnea yɛkae no wowɔ question bia about taxes anaasɛ before a yɛhome so no ɔkyerɛkyerɛ nneɛma mu bebree a ɛfa ɛyɛ stimulus package a ɔkaa sɛ sika bebree ɛwɔ package no mu a nnua no mu bi did not take advantage of it nti ɔbɛkyerɛkyerɛ mu baako ne ɛyɛ ppp ɛna bi nso ɛyɛ eidl ɛno nso ɔbɛkyerɛkyerɛ mu nti ɔsɛ ɛnyɛ no nko there are so many other advantages enshrined in the package na nti na nyame ayɛ yɛadom a yɛsa de foforɔ aba ebia Joe Biden nso ɔhwɛ sɛ ɔno nso ɛbɛtumi de foforɔ bi aba na nso nea ɛwɔ hɔ yi yɛsɛ a bird in hand is better than 100 birds in the forest and say nea ɛwɔ hɔ sɛ no we have to find a way to take advantage of it. And we hear more bia na obitimi abehuye na ya friend ama na ya connect so na kai just a nrankwa ye nua baby frey no hear more yet me ama na sanka na ama on ne ekasai. And so no obitimi afrey you can call us at 773-960-5416 AS 773-960-5416 and I say you can just say you can just send your live your comment through our live feed so that we can read it for you. I see our dear friend and brother Raya Black J. Raya Black Jesus is also with our sister station, and they're doing a great job out there at Trend African TV. They're doing a great job out there, and he's stopped in to say big ups yourself. I'll say big up yourself, guys. I'll say yeah, both Juma into yeah, that I say very. And you mean they think thank you so much for joining us for stopping in to say hi to us. So let's go back to Alfred in the Washington studio. So Alfred, we have been talking about taxes. First, we talk about the stimulus package, and Lily broke it down for us. And most especially, look, there is so many facets to it. But she took her time to talk about the PPP, and also she said there are some that may not necessarily qualify for the PPP. But don't worry, there is some other availability of funding for you. So she went on to touch on is that the EIDL, if I'm correct. Okay, so she touched on that a little bit, and then she came to talk about taxes. So you are a CPA yourself. So what can you add to what Lily have told us? Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Absolutely. So I would admit that it's not easy coming after Lily because of the energy she has, and of course it comes out. So what Lily said is completely accurate. Everything she said so far. The only thing to add or a little clarification for the folks who are not qualified for PPP is that yes, you may be qualified for the EIDL, and that the EIDL, a portion of it is givable. Okay, so the EIDL is able to give you a loan of up to almost, you can ask for 2 million, actually, maximum of $2 million. Depends on the size of your business and how well you are doing. Now, if you have 10 employees, EIDL gives you $1,000 per employee. It's a grant. That amount will not be requested back. In other words, he wouldn't ask you to pay that portion of the loan back. That's the grant portion. So let's say, for instance, you asked for $100,000 and you got the entire $100,000. In addition to that $100,000, depending on the number of employees you have, if you have 12 employees, they will give you $10,000. They only give you up to $10,000, and you got they only pay you $1,000 up to the 10th employee. They don't pay you more than that. So if you have 50 employees, they wouldn't give you $1,000 per employee times 50. No, they only give you for the first 10. So if you have 8 employees, you get 8,000 as a grant for free, which the government wouldn't come back and ask for. If you have 6 employees, you get 6,000 for free. The government wouldn't come and ask for that. But it doesn't limit your loan. It doesn't mean because you have 10 employees or 6 employees that the maximum amount of loan you can take is 10,000. That's not what we are saying. The loan is separated from the grant. The grant is for you for free. But the loan itself, it depends on how good your business is doing. Usually they use 80% of your adjusted gross income. Adjusted gross income is on either, I think, line 7 of your 1040 or so. That's what they will use to determine how much loan they will give you. Now, that is if you were filing as an individual and your business is, let's say, LLC, and so you have to add a Schedule C to your 1040. But if you are filing a business as maybe a subchapter S, which she explained, the S corporation, you are going to be filing a different tax. You'll be filing what we call 1120, which is a corporate tax return. But because you are S corporation, in this case, you'll be filing 1120S. And the determination of your income or your adjusted gross income will be a little different from if you were filing a 1040 using a Schedule C. So there are a little bit of nuances there. If you've never really used an accountant or a CPA during the tax season, this is the time to consult one. This is the time you need somebody who actually knows what is going on. So there are things you can get, not necessarily PPP, but to get those things, you have to get your act together. You have to get your records together. One thing I found out, Steve, I know you asked a simple question and I'm giving you a complicated answer, but one thing I found out is for all the companies that got the EIDL loan, SBA is reaching out to them as we speak. SBA lawyers are sending them letters or email asking for whether they met as a board to make a determination to accept the SBA loan. And you have to show that board minutes in letter sent to the SBA. So a lot of questions are coming up. People got a loan and they walk away. They thought that's it. That the only logical next step will be that they will be asked to pay the loan. But there are steps that are happening in between you getting the money and paying it back, such as showing a board minutes that authorizes the receipt of the money. If you don't know what a board minute is, please reach out to myself, call Steve when you get a chance, or you know Steve's number, or reach out to Lily, and Lily will be able to help pull one together for you. So there is help out there. There are ways to access this help. Just reach out to the right people. Steve?
Okay, so Alfred, if I understood you correctly, though,
right?
Okay, there was the understanding that some of these loans that people got, it could be forgiven or it would be forgiven, and there is some understanding that there is a likelihood that you would have to pay it back. So what you just explained is that determination is being made now to predetermine if you have to pay back the loan, if you do qualify. So because I think I was reading something before we came on air that some Ghanaians, there was some 2 Ghanaians who got I believe the loan, and they remitted the loans back to family and friends in Ghana, and now they are going to be jailed. Can that happen? Is it just a social media issue, or that can actually happen? And how would that happen?
Absolutely. That definitely can happen. The SBA was specific on what you can use the loan for. The loan is specifically for business. So if you were to obtain this loan, and so we have to be clear on what we are talking about when we say loan. There are 2 different ones. There is a PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection, plan or program. That is to be differentiated from the economic injury and disaster loan. Those are 2 different things. The PPP, you can use that on payroll to pay your employees and a few other operating expenses like your rent and things like that. You can use it to, remit. You can remit that to anybody in Ghana. You can even use that to do business in Ghana. You can use that to buy a building for your business. You can use it to buy a vehicle for your business. All those type of expenditures are exempted from or are prevented, prohibited. You cannot use the PPP proceed for those things. Now let's come to the EIDL. The EIDL is also specific. It says it can only be used for your business, but it's not specific as to that you have to only use it for operational expenses or for payroll. You can use it for to buy a car for the business. You can use it to buy a building for a business. As far as the EIDL aspect is concerned, there's no much restriction on it as it is on PPP. But also, this is the caveat: you cannot remit PPP to Ghana, the EIDL to Ghana as well. Now, with the EIDL, it's a loan that has to be paid back. You have to pay that one back. The only portion of that which is forgiven is the initial 10,000 if you have 10 employees. If you have more than 10 employees, they'll give you $10, which we are calling the advance, and some other people call it grants. That one is a grant. You keep that, you will not pay back. But any other any other amount extended to you above that 10,000, you have to pay it back, and you have 30 years to do so. It is clearly stated in your promissory note. What is happening now is the PPP is getting forgiven. If you are determined to qualify for forgiveness, how do you get that determination? That's one, you prove that you spend the money on payroll, on your employees, that you spend the money on operating costs like rent, and she even mentioned things like the internet and stuff like that. If you spend the money that way, you can put in an application for the PPP to be forgiven. And I have a few clients who were successful getting their PPPs forgiven. You just have to prove that you spend it according to what the law says you should spend it on. Now, the EIDL is not forgiven. The only portion that is forgiven is the advance, which is up to 10,000 or below. Anytime you get, if you have more than 10 employees, like we said, you get 10,000, and that piece is forgiven automatically. Now, what it means is SBA is currently, as far as I know, SBA is currently following up with anybody who has received an EIDL and is requesting from them a letter from the business that authorizes them to, obtain the loan. What is happening is a lot of people form businesses that they have no business forming just so they could take this loan. And some of them, because they are not legitimately running a business, the SBA is trying to establish that by requesting that you send a letter from a board meeting or from a management meeting that says you've been authorized on behalf of the business to take or to apply for EIDL and be granted. So that is where we are so far. But if you take any of this money from the federal government and you send it to Ghana, yes, you definitely are in violation of the law and you can be imprisoned. So that is where we are so far. But
All right, Alfred, thank you so much for that explanation. Yeah, Alfred, and so a year CPA, and all chichimo say a year economic friends a stimulus package, yeah, passy. Na sike bi ɛwɔ mu a obetumi anya. Baako ɛyɛ program no baako no ɛyɛ PPP, ɛna na ɛyɛ payroll protection program. Nti ɛno no yɛde boa government ne ɛde boa na wetumi atuatua wo ho ka ɛsɛ ɔmo a wɔyɛ adwuma ɛma yɛnim sɛ ɛyi COVID baeɛ no adwuma bebree aba fam nti yɛma saa grant no ɛno no wo san ka saa sika no a ɛne deɛ ɛnya adeɛ a ɛs wobɛsan etua nti ɛne ne deɛ na government de ɛde akyɛw anaasɛ no ɔmo de pia w'akyi so that wo so wobɛtumi w'adwuma bɛtumi akɔ so ana. Nti asa ɛno no wobɛtumi de ayɛ deɛ bebree sɛ na ɛde ne tie ne payroll nti wobɛtumi de atua wo payroll anaasɛ wobɛtumi de atua wo rent anaasɛ wo internet nneɛma nketenkete bi wɔ hɔ nom a wobɛtumi de ayɛ. Ɛna baako nso wɔ hɔ nom a ɛde EIDL ɛyɛ economic injury disaster loan. Ɛno no ɛyɛ loan And so and no yet me faso amount bear set 10,000 and extra say who adwumayɛfoɔ a ɔmo dɔɔso at least ɔmo yɛ bɛyɛ sɛ 10 into amount 10 about $1,000 each for ɔmo ɛne deɛ yɛde kyɛw wowɔ adwumayɛfoɔ a ɔmo dɔɔso so 10 no kora yɛbɛma wo saa 10,000 yɛma wo 10,000 ne akyire no na wosɛ hia mmoa no a ɛna wotumi gye loan nsaa loan no deɛ obi ɛsɛ wotua na sesei a no yɛde sika no ama yɛn mu bebree Sisiana, SDA na ọmụ a starte chọrọchọrọ ẹhụ letter ẹdi akọ ọmụ Jesus ka na ẹkyerẹ sẹ ọmụ fa krataa ẹmra sẹ ọmụ edwuma na sẹ ọmụ board na ẹna pini so sẹ obetumi akọkọ Jesus ka na nti n'ekyerẹ sẹ ya starte a yɛhwehwɛ mu nti mete sɛ yɛn nua bi akɔgye sika yi bi ɛna ɔde akɔ Ghana ɛde akɔkɔyɛ ne ho yie ɛna asese ne ho kyerɛ no nti ɛna ɔɔka nti nea ɔkyerɛkyerɛ mu ara ne sɛ sika no deɛ ebi wɔ hɔ paa obetumi agyi bi ɛnso no before ɔbɛka sɛ wɔregyi bi no na wahwehwɛ obi sɛ Alfred anaasɛ Lily anaasɛ tax ayi obi a ɔwɔ tax experience anaasɛ ɔyɛ CPA na watumi akyerɛkyerɛ mu sɛ na ɛkyena bi no wo ho akɔ akɔkyerɛ ɛne ne nkɔmmɔ a yɛdi sese wowɔ question bi a ɔpɛ sɛ wobisa no a wobɛtumi afrɛ ɛyɛ 773 960 5416 ɛyɛ 773 960 5416 biribi akyekyere w'adwene a yɛnnua Alfred ɛwɔ ha ama wo obetumi akyekere mu ɛfa taxes ho and no obetumi afrɛ number ya ɛwɔ screen so no 773 960 5416 na yɛtumi abisa anaasɛ wowɔ Facebook nso a question bi ɔwɔ biara no obetumi atwerɛ ɛde aba na ya akan ama yo ɛne ne nkɔmmɔ a yɛtwitwi ɛnɛ yɛbɛsan akɔ nkɔmmɔ no so na sesei ne yɛakɔ akɔbisa my Facebook and so Pastor Richard Taria, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you joining us. And Fred Mishak, you are still joining. Nana Kwabna Owusu Kobi Bacha Nana Etsen. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you joining us into Yadamasi Bibri. So Alfred, so now let's talk about taxes. We know Lily just told us about the tax season actually begins on February the 12th because the IRS, because of all the things that went on last year or thereabouts, they are taking their time to make all the adjustments so that when we begin to file our taxes, everything would be in place.
Right.
So as an individual, let's talk about individual taxes, then we'll come to business taxes. So as an individual, what are some of the things that we need to look out for this year? I know there are things that are still a little fluid. They are still making adjustments, but what can you share with us, comfortably share with us right now that as individual filing our taxes, what are some of the things that we need to look out for this year?
Yeah, Steve, that is a really good question, and I'm going to answer it in this way. What should we be looking out for if we are preparing our own taxes, or if somebody is preparing tax for you? As somebody who's been filing tax for over 10 years, what I usually see is in our community is everybody want a huge return. Everybody who comes to me asks me to file their tax, they're looking for a bigger return. So the question is, should you be actually asking for a huge return, or should you be asking for your taxes to be done right? Because if your taxes is not done right, the IRS has 3 years to audit you, depending on how much you have misstated your tax. When I say misstatement, what that means is if you're supposed to report $50,000 as your taxable income and you did not do so, or you mix that number by maybe 10,000, depending on the percentage of that misstatement. If it's anything between 10 to 25%, it extends the number of years that the IRS has to audit you. In other words, instead of the 3 year statute of limitation, now all of a sudden you have 6 years statute of limitation. If it is due to fraud, if you intentionally misstate your taxable income, then there is no statute of limitation, which means the IRS can audit you 20 years from now or 10 years from now. So make sure when you are doing your taxes that your goal is to get it done correctly. Think about it this way. You've made your income all year. You had the opportunity to enjoy that income. It is time for the government to take their piece. So your goal should be, how do I make sure I legally give them the exact amount that they deserve? Sometimes you overpay the government because there are things that you can take advantage of that you did not take advantage of. And I'm going to talk about some of those things. Other times you cheat the government, and that is what the government usually look out for. Who's cheating me? Now, depending on how much you cheat the government, it impacts your statute of limitation, and that is what I want to put across. So, when you talk to your tax return preparer, whether it's a CPA, your goal should not be that you want to make the most amount of money. Your goal should be that you want to have your tax done properly, and you want to take advantage of all the provisions in the tax code that benefits you. Okay, so what are some of the things you can do? One of the things you can do if you want to save on your taxes, and again, these are the things that will be given you will be things that you have to do before the year ends. They are not things you have to do when you're getting ready to prepare your taxes. Like for instance, your healthcare insurance. All right, what type of insurance coverage do you have? Do you want to have in order to kind of benefit you from tax standpoint? Should you have the one that is high, that has a high deductible, or should you have the one that doesn't have high deductible? The reason I'm saying that is if you have a high deductible insurance, the amount of deductible you paid is subtracted from your tax above the line. There is something we call above the line deductions and below the line deductions. What above the line deduction means is that this deduction is taken out of your gross income, the amount you made in income before your taxable or your adjusted gross income is determined. Everything in your tax depends on your adjusted gross income. What does that mean? Your adjusted gross income is your income minus things like if you had a business and you made a loss, they take that one out. If you have things like the high deductible insurance premium that you've paid, they take that one out. What is left becomes your income after making those preliminary adjustments. That income determines whether it determines almost everything that follows, like whether you have child tax credits, they will use the adjusted gross income to calculate that. Every other thing that follows in your tax depends on your AGI. So if you want to reduce your AGI, an example of something to do is to change your health care or health insurance to a high deductible health plan. Now, what does that mean to you? If you change your health plan to a high deductible healthcare insurance plan, what that means is each time you go to the hospital, you'll be paying more out of pocket. So that amount that you'll be paying out of pocket is what you are subtracting before we determine your AGI. So it's a strategy. You have to make that decision yourself. Some people don't want to pay high when they go to hospital, and some people have chronic illnesses and they use the insurance a lot, so they are rather better off not taking a high deductible insurance policy. But if you are a type who barely goes to the hospital, you are healthy person, may behoove you to actually use a high deductible insurance plan in order to kind of take advantage of the tax code. Another thing you can also do would be, there are so many strategies here. I'm just giving you a few of them. Another thing you can do is, of course, your college savings plan for your children, or even for your own self, if you have any plans of going back to school, but mostly for your children. If you do this college savings plan, is deducted before your AGI is arrived at, and all this helps to lower the amounts that the government pays your tax bracket determination on, because all the calculations that follows the AG that follows after AGI depends on the AGI. So you want to do everything as possible to minimize your AGI. What I've seen so many times is people talk about deductions, and the question is, what are deductions, right? So deductions are really some expenditures you would have made. For instance, if you go to the hospital and you spend so much, especially if you have a baby, of course your bills are high. What they do is they calculate 10% of your income. All right, 10% of your income, your AGI, because you remember I said everything depends on your AGI. So we'll take AGI, calculate 10% of that. Whatever the result is, we will compare it to how much you spend on hospital, doctor expenditure, transportation to hospital, and all that. We will compare the two. If your 10,000, if the 10% of your AGI it's lower than what you spend in the hospital, everything else above what you spend in your hospital is deductible. It's a deductible expenditure. So don't just, and a lot of people, what I see is they fake or they just overstate their hospital expenditures. You can get away with doing that, but if you get caught, would you be able to have the documentation to back up your hospital expenditure? If you don't have that, then leave it alone. One thing the Trump administration did is they increased your standard deduction so that if you are married filing jointly, your standard deduction is $24,000. You will have to find expenditure that you want to add together to exceed the $24,000 for an atomized deduction to make sense to you. So in our tax code, you can either take the standard deduction, which means you don't have to show anything, right? You are automatically being assigned 24,000 if you're filing joint. If you're single, I think it's about 12,500 or so that you can deduct automatically without showing any paperwork. But if you think you make expenses way more than 12,000 or way more than 24,000, then it makes sense for you to atomize. And I'm saying that when you are atomizing, be careful with things like your hospital expenditure because it's going to be anything above 10% of your AGI. Another thing I see a lot that people do is charitable deductions, which is another one of the atomized deductions. We all belong to one charity or the other, and people contribute dues and all kinds of other things. I see that a lot of unscrupulous tax filers overstating charitable deduction. For instance, this is an individual who worked and made only $24,000 a year. How is it that that person would have a charitable deduction all the way to $8,000? It doesn't make any sense. If I was an IRS reviewer looking at your taxes and you made 24,000, but you are able to give over 8,000 of your money to charity, I'm going to question that because how do you survive? You pay rent, so it doesn't make sense. Whenever I see such things on anybody's tax, it tells me automatically that they are cheating, and if they get invited for audit, they are going to be in trouble because they couldn't prove it. By all means, deduct your charitable contributions that you make as you make them. Also, make sure that the charity for which you made those contributions to is giving you a letter with their EIN number on it, admitting to receiving those funds from you. So these are some of the things you want to look out for. That way you don't, get into trouble. The one that it's very prevalent in our community is people overstating their charitable contribution. If you do so, you are going to be in trouble when invited by the IRS. Another one that is also very prevalent is a lot of people put mileages on their tax return. Here is the key. For you to deduct your mileage, it has to be business related. If, for instance, you are an individual, you go to work every day, you drive to work. All right. And so you have a lot of mileages and you think you should deduct them. Ask yourself this question. If it is driving from home to work, it's not deductible. But the one that is deductible is if you are at work and then you have been sent somewhere to go and do some other work and you drove your own car to go there and then come back to work and then go home, then whatever mileage you've driven from your work to the other work that you went and did and back, that is deductible. But your commute miles are not deductible. So if you are invited for an IRS audit, you have to show the IRS that the mileages that you are deducted, or they call it job-related expenses, that your job-related expenses really are not just the ones that are commute expenses. But expenses or mileages that you accumulated even while you are at work doing additional things. So those are some of the the traps and the loopholes that people should watch out for. And these are more reasons why you need to talk to a CPA who is qualified and is bound by the law not to cheat. If a CPA is helping you to cheat, that is not a good CPA. Trust me, I have been in so many audits, and what I find is a lot of people who get into audits, they take this task thing for a joke. So, either they receive a lot of return. Sometimes you always used to get $1,000, but today you went to somebody else and they are telling you they can also prepare your taxes, and you are probably going to get $2,000, and you are not satisfied. You go to another person who says, by the way, I can make your tax I can get you a $5,000 return. It does not make sense for you to get that $5,000 return without investigating how they are doing your taxes. Just because of a little 2,000 extra or a little $3,000 extra, the trouble of going to an audit, it's not worth it. Trust me. I've been through audits and it's not worth it. You'll be invited to the IRS office so many different times to bring documentations to prove that you actually are taking the right deductions. And majority of the time, you don't even know. Any time you get a letter from the IRS, the first thing is you panic because you don't know what is being asked over there. So first, you have to consult a CPA or a lawyer to explain to you what is in that audit letter. Now, what you find out is the CPA is going to charge you for whatever review they'll do. If they are going to represent you, they have to file a form. We call it power of attorney, is 2848 on your behalf, which gives them the authority to access your transcript, to be able to talk to the IRS without you being there. And all this costs money. So my big advice to you is when you are doing your tax, pay attention, make sure the goal is that your tax is properly done and not because you want more money out of the IRS. That is stealing, and they will catch you. If they catch you and you're an immigrant, you are going home. You may not be you may not be able to come here if you are not a citizen. So the ripple effect is tremendous, and it's not worth it in most cases. So that's the advice I give to my clients all the time, and I believe that you should just get what you deserve and not more.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're talking to Alfred here. I know we have exceeded our time, but the our producer have allowed us to some few more minutes to continue our conversation. I know Khalid. Khalid is watching us. Thank you so much for joining us, Khalid. How you doing? I owe you a call, so I would give you a call, Khalid. Thanks for joining us as well. Thanks for joining us, Khalid, and thank you for joining us as well. I also see here that we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth had joined us as well, Elizabeth, and we also have. I think we have a caller online. Let me go to the caller on the phone. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Hello, the caller online. Let me go to the caller. Okay, yeah, the caller online was joining us all the way from Ghana, but she just dropped off. As a matter of fact, that was the Mami Abadasi. Mami Abadasi was joining us from Ghana, but she had just dropped off. So thanks for joining, and you can call us back, Mami Abba. So we have Thomas Boy. Thomas Boy Asante also joined. He said, "My boss, thank you for joining us, Thomas Boy Asante." Let me go here. I see.
I just want to quickly
we
say
have
hi
a
to
question here
Thomas.
from Ernest. With regards to the EIDL, we have seen that most people went in for the loan without necessarily having a legitimate business. But now that they have the money, what is the way out? Apart from paying it back, is there going to be some type of penalty or trouble for those people in the future? Please help out. That was from Albert. That was Albert. So go ahead. Thanks for joining all the way from Ghana. How are you doing, madam? Hello, madam. Thanks for joining from Ghana. How are you doing? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, thanks for joining all the way from Ghana. How are you doing? Okay, so I do have a caller online joining me from Ghana, but somehow it looked like she cannot hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, it looked like she cannot hear me, so we can hear you if you are talking. I'll try calling you. Okay, so Alfred, okay, so we have a question here that can you can you deal with this question, please?
Yeah, that is a very interesting question. I see a lot of that. A lot of people ask me that now that they have the money and what is the way out? So one thing about the EIDL is you don't have to start paying immediately. They're not taking that money from anybody yet.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, mommy.
What is it?
Okay, so
we
thanks
can
for
hear you. Go
joining us.
ahead.
You are live on Stephen Alfred's show. How are you doing?
What is this? Hello?
Yes, you are live on Stephen Alfred's show from Echo Radio. How are you doing?
C5. Well, I'm on the show.
Yes, because you called into the show. So tell us, I know it's quite late in Ghana, and so how are you feeling? I know you have been very busy all day attending a symposium, or let's say a lectures for the founder of the NDC and the late president, the former president of the Republic of Ghana. Can you give us a little bit of an update as to how things were while you were at this function? We know he's been laid to rest, so if you can give us a little update, please.
Oh, the Chairman Rawlings of Papa J was the founder of NDC, and she's the state who having the final funeral right for the founder of NDC and also the first president of the Republic. The NDC wasn't involved, and in a way, NDC wanted to remember him in a nice way or send him off in a very honorable way. So they decided to do the lecture in his honor. And it's interesting to know that this morning we did a silent pass at the State House, or the Accra International Conference Center, which is also the State House. And a lot of our comrades were in tears as to how it was being organized. But nonetheless, this evening has been an interesting one. We've seen all the cadres, or let me say majority of the cadres from the revolutionary era all the way to the PNDC time to the present day NDC. We see the former chief of staff, former ministers of state under the Rawlings regime when he was the president, and also when he was the PNDC time and the cadre also. So they were all here, although they are quite elderly. It was fun. We had in-depth knowledge as to what led to the revolution. And Alhaji Udu Yaya gave a run-up as to how important the PNDC era and the revolutionary era was and what led into that. So it was an interesting lecture that everybody took into how the contribution that Rawlings has made and the fact that he has changed the democracy, or actually helped brought democracy into Ghana and in Africa. And I know one of the speakers mentioned that Rollins wasn't hailed enough in Ghana, but outside of Ghana, he was hailed a lot, and a lot of the African countries hold him in highest esteem. And I can say that somebody said that a prophet is not honored in his own hometown. So in this case, it's still the case with the former president that we call Papa J. Yeah. So it was an interesting lecture, and I'm glad to be part.
Yeah, thank you so much for that update. Yes, I recalled Alhaji Wuduyaya, Honorable Alhaji Wuduyaya, talking about the extension of electricity to the northern part of Ghana, and he had a story to tell about that of Tamale when the electricity was extended, and then he talked about that was the first time they had a traffic light. So of course it's red, gold, and green. So there was some education on both the pedestrians and drivers as to when it's red, what you should do, and what is green. So the education was that if it is red, the cars will stop and then the pedestrians would cross. And then if it is green, the pedestrians would stop and then the cars would pass by. Of course, the most the most useful means of transportation in the northern region is bicycle, and the bicycles were not mentioned in the narrative. So when it turns red, people carry the bikes on their head and to cross the street. And I thought that was very interesting. Let me go to Alfred and see if Alfred have any comments to join the conversation. Alfred.
Steve, can you hear me?
Anything for Mommy?
Yeah, I was saying thanks for joining us all the way from Ghana. I think watching the program today, we heard your name mentioned at some point, and we were all very proud here to, of course, hear your name come out in the program. So thanks for representing us well there. My memory of Rollins is, of course, I grew up in Ketu South. And that is Aflau, so the border is there. And each time, each time we see a helicopter coming, we knew it was Rollins. And it's usually him. He comes, the helicopter lands, and we see him with, in his uniform. And it's always a sight to behold, right? One of us from Volta region is leading the country at that time, and he shows a lot of command when he descends from the helicopter, and we are always proud of him, and we miss him dearly there. So I just wanted to say that my whole life growing in Ghana, the only president I knew was Rollins, and then I left Ghana, and then before Kufuor became president. So that is who I've lived under. And I remember when he changed the educational system from the old system to the SS, I was one of the earlier, students through that program. And so I even owe my entire education to him at some point. And I, think he's been a great leader, and he will be sorely missed.
You'll be sorely missed. Madam, before we let you go, can you give us a personal, you've told us about the experiences at this evening's program, and I know there is a series of programs lined up for the funeral services. Can you tell us a personal story of yours that you relate to him? I think just about almost every Ghanaian has some personal story one way or the other. Can you give us a personal story that you can relate to him before we let you go, please?
Oh, as for the former president of the Papa J, I happen to personally work under him. So when we say the staff of former president, I was one of his staff. I worked with him from 97 all the way to 2000 when he went out of office, and then the former president before took over. I believe that he just a man of honor, a man of his word, and he stood up for the underprivileged, and he always wanted to see the best in you. But personally, in the revolutionary time, that is 1979, I was I was 11 years or 12 years old at that time. He had some friends at my grandmother's house that he used to come there. And at that time, when he was stationed in Takoradi and he was trained there, so I can say he's also a tidy boy, a tidy guy. We call the women and men from tidy boys and tidy girls. So at that time, when the killings were going on, the Kalabule time were going on, I know my mom was affected by that, but one thing that stood up and that really, really pulled me into loving NDC was the fact that he wasn't there when the killings were going on, but when he said that there were all the shootings and killing of male figures in Takoradi, I got really attracted by the fact that he came down with a helicopter and running around in circles in Takoradi and shouting ceasefire, ceasefire. And you could see this handsome gentleman, tall, thin, hanging on a helicopter. I thought that was cute as a little girl. And that was really what pulled me into loving the PNDC time and loving the NDC, and also made it a point to ensure that I work for him one day. And actually happened that I worked under him at the office of the president. And I'm really, really happy that I got opportunity to work with a man of that stature, a man who stood for the poverty, accountability, and justice. And I believe that the injustice that is going on and the corruption that is going on currently in Ghana, it wouldn't have happened in his era, because at that time, I mean, he doesn't care who you are. He will get a slap when he see that something of that nature has happened, because he will give you the justice right there, because he wanted everybody to be treated equally and fair, and he doesn't want anyone to be cheated. So that is, personally, that is what I take from him, and that is what attracted me to him so much. And that is what pulled me into becoming a member of NDCP and a cadre. Yeah. In a nutshell, cut it short, that is all.
Thank you so much. And for those who do not know who we're talking to, her name is Vivian Mami Abba-Datsey. She is the national chairman of the NDC here in the USA. And she is joining us all the way from Ghana. We thank her for calling in this evening, late as it may be. And as you recall, Rollins was involved with the AFRC and then into the PNDC and then into the NDC era. So he's one that, as Alfred said, most people came to know as the president of Ghana, of course, from the revolutionary days into the Fourth Republic launch into the current political dispensation that we are experiencing, being the Fourth Republic, and we owe that to him. He's the father. Most people will refer to him as the father of the NDC, but he's actually the father of the Fourth Republic. So we thank him for, and he will be sorely missed, as Alfred rightly indicated. It looked like our producer is telling us that we're completely out of time. So he's telling us to wrap up the show. So thank you very much, Madam. If there are any few words you want to leave with us before we wrap up, are there any few words that you would like to leave with us, please?
Oh, I think that I enjoy your show, and I think that I bring you greetings uh, from Ghana to all your listeners in the USA, and a big shout out to all NDC USA members, and then the Fantaman Association of North America. I greet you all. I hope you're all doing fine. Take care.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they were going to get you if you don't send shout out to them. So thank you so much. Thank you once again, Madam Vivian. That's why we called her. Madam Vivian joining us all the way from Ghana. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your stay, and we will catch up with you a little later. So, Alfred, before we wrap up, please let's do justice to this question, and then we can wrap up. We can call it a day. So, Alfred, the question about anesthesia, if we can do. Did you want to say anything to Madame before she gets off the phone?
Oh, we just that we miss Madame and we need her to come back and help continue the good work she was doing here before she has to go to Ghana. I know, she has some very important things to do in Ghana as well, but we in the United States equally miss her, so we need her back.
Madam Alfred, so I miss you in Terminal Browai.
Okay, thank you so much. Missing you so much. I'll soon be back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, madam. Okay. So Alfred, take it away.
All right, Steve. So the question is with regards to the EIDL, we've all seen that most people went in for the loan without necessarily having a legitimate business, which is correct. We've seen a lot of that. But now that they have the money, what is the way out? Apart from paying it back, is there going to be some type of penalty or trouble for those people in the future? Please help Albert. That's Alfred, he wanted to say. Okay, great. And this is coming from Anastasia. Enes, I don't know if you're still watching us, but here's my advice to you. First, the loan itself is not due for repayment until somewhere next year or close to the end of this year. They've actually given that first year that you have the loan as grace period. You don't have to start paying it back. But also, I am expecting, and this is not because I know anything that you don't already know, but I am expecting that at some point uh, because the laws are changing so fast. So at some point, they may even decide to forgive that loan, right? So if you can scramble, if you have that money and you form a business for whatever reasons, if you can scramble the letters that the lawyers are asking for instance, the board meeting letters, try to get those ones to the lawyers so that at least you have your peace of mind for the first year of the loan. Then when we start the paying period, there may be it may be that they will change the law to forgive that loan or to forgive a piece of it, or you pay it back. But as far as if there is a penalty or trouble, you only become, you only attract a penalty or you invite trouble on yourself if you're not able to provide the letters that the SBA is asking for, or if you're not able to answer the SBA when they reach out to you for documentation. So just make sure you get your documentations tight because they will be coming. Now, they are not asking every recipient to provide those documents. They are doing just sort of a sampling, right? They are choosing randomly and sending letters to people to produce documentations to back up whether they've been authorized to receive the loan. And who knows? They may be asking. They have so many different provisions in the promissory note. So read over your promissory note and see some of the things they say. Like, they can audit you, they can do ABC. So now, if you don't want to be audited and you wait for that 1 year grace period to end, then I just advise you to pay the loan. Once you pay the loan, you don't have any problem with the SBA. But if you continue to hold the loan, then be ready for audit, be ready for all the things they've outlined in the promissory note as things that the SBA would be doing. So wait, it may be forgiven. If it is not forgiven, then prepare to pay it.
All right, thank you so much, Alfred, for that information. On that note, we would have to bring our show to a close. It's been very interesting. We've talked about some very interesting propositions in terms of taxes. I know most of you still have a lot of questions about taxes. Alfred is going to be always here. He is our tax expert. He is a CPA as well, among many other things that he does, and so do I. But I am not a tax expert, so Ms. Roa, don't call me and ask me anything about taxes, so Ms. Roa. Look, journalism is what I do. And but that is not what I do for a living. There are other things that I do as a project manager. That's what I do for a living. But as a service to the community, we do so many. And Alfred is a man of many reputes, and he has many skills. So when you have task questions, please give us a call. And Alfred is our staff tax man for all your questions that you have. So please give us a call. And so we'd like to thank everyone for joining. But let me yield to Alfred to wrap up the show so that we can get out of here.
All right, Steve. So if you will lend me about 2 minutes, there is something, the procession that went on today that I want us to take a quick look at, just to kind of bring back a little bit of that Rollins memory as we wish him farewell. So if you don't mind, just 2 minutes, let's look at this video, and then we'll bring the program to an end.
As the children go through the door of lighting the perpetual flame, please permit me to give a brief significance of this event. The perpetual flame is usually lighted to commemorate a person or an event of national significance. It serves as a symbol of an enduring nature or as a reminder of a committed cause, goal, value, or belief. Thus, the lighting of the perpetual flame this evening by the children of His Excellency, the late Flying Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings retired, is symbolic that the memory of His Excellency, the late former President, Thus, the lighting is symbolic that the memory of the late former president will live in the hearts of many people all over the world. And that his legacies and beliefs that made him an iconic personality in Ghana.
So, farewell to the president one more time, and we wish his family and his loved ones all the best in these trying times. Steve, that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, farewell to a man who have lived a life well lived, and our condolence to the country of Ghana, the Republic of Ghana. And he is a son of the world, as Madam Vivian made us to understand. And we have lost a dear son of the soul. May his soul rest in perpetual peace. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening on this very memorable evening while we celebrate the life of President John Rawlings, and also bring you excerpts of what to expect in terms of your taxes and in terms of the stimulus package. We'll be back here again next week, same time. And please join us again next week. And don't forget, go to our newest page, which is Stephen Alfred Facebook page, and like our page as well, as we begin to build that as well, so you can follow all the exciting. Look, there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to cover. And don't forget, Alfred is also a host on a Sunday program called the Ghana Agenda. Very exciting show as well. So want to thank you once again. Alfred, it looked like you may have a few words before we wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to take the time to say a big thank you to our listeners and viewers who have been joining us every Monday nights for this show. Without you, this show wouldn't be as great and as powerful and entertaining and educative as it is. We are grateful for you, and we would see you again next Monday. In the meantime, catch the Ghana Agenda, which comes on every Sunday on Ako Radio, your number one station for those of us living in the diaspora. The show comes on at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 6 p.m. It's really educative. It talks about politics, economics, finance, and, even legal sometimes. So make it a point to join us on Sunday and on Monday for the Stephen Afresh Show. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much, all of you. And we wish you a good night, and take care of yourself and of each other as always. And please join us again next week. And next, you need to give me a call so that we can profile you the next some other time. You're doing a great job out there in Ghana with the borehole project. So give me a call so that we can profile you. Once again, take care as always. I am Steve, and my brother Alfred in the Washington area, saying bye for now. We'll leave you on the wings of Pat Thomas. We leave you on the wings of Pat Thomas. Enjoy the rest of your night, and be back with us next week. Take care. Peace. We out.